Good morning, class. Happy Wednesday. We're going to go over the grammar homework on contractions. I thought it was easier instead of just circling each answer and posting it on Class Dojo to walk you through with you guys, just because we haven't done this type of exercise together since we've been in the classroom. And I didn't want you guys to get confused by it, and especially if you had questions. So let's get started. I have the PowerPoint posted up here too in case we want to go back and look over it. And that will always be available if you are doing a contractions worksheet later this week or another assignment, that you have that as a helpful guide. So we did the first three, but let's go over them real quick. What is another to say we will? So remember, the whole part of contractions is all about using the apostrophe to combine two words into one. So if we go back here, remember, a contraction is a word or phrase that has been shortened by dropping one or more letters. These are the most common ones. Just a reminder, are not becomes aren't, I am becomes I'm, that is becomes that, cannot becomes can't, and that apostrophe usually comes in between the last two letters. That's just another helpful hint. That's not always the case though, just a heads up, so don't go off that, because if you look at I have, it becomes I've, and that is between the first two letters. But for just about the rest of them, it's between the last two letters. So that's just a helpful hint, but don't always use that. So we know it has to have an apostrophe for contractions, and the word has to be real. So if you look at the first one, what is another to say we will? Will doesn't have an apostrophe, so it can't be that. And we's isn't a word. Excuse me. So obviously our first answer is wool. Let's go on to number two. What is another to say I'm? I am, I will, I'm mad. Now this is kind of backwards. So this is the contracted word. They want the original version. So the original would be, well, I'm mad makes no sense. You know that. I will, but remember, I will, it doesn't sound too right, and it's I am. I am. Because I am going to do my homework today and I'm going to do my homework today are the same thing. What is another way to say did not? So we know the big thing is to have an apostrophe. So let's see. First one has an apostrophe. Second one doesn't. And the third one does. But remember, what did I say earlier? Most of the apostrophes in the contractions go between the last two letters, or the last letter. So this first one doesn't seem too accurate. So it's got to be didn't, but it's D-I-D and apostrophe T. What's another way to say she's? So remember, this is already in the contraction form. We want it in its original form. So another way to say she's is she is, let's say, going to the mall. She was going to the mall. She did go to the mall. Now this is tricky because they all sound correct. They all make sense. It's not like she done. It's she did. So they all, you can't just knock one off immediately. But, what's another way to say she's? It is she is because it is in the present tense, which I'm not sure if you guys have learned, but we can go over that later. The answer is she is because it's in the present tense. I don't believe there is anything for she was or she did in contraction because they are in the past tense. What is another to say was not? All right, let's remember it has an apostrophe. So first one has apostrophe, first one has apostrophe, last one does not have apostrophe, cannot have it to be the last one. But similar to these two, what is another way to say was not, where is the correct form of the apostrophe going? If we look back at number 3, same issue. Where is the correct form of the apostrophe? We know it's between usually the last 2 letters. And number 5 is similar to number 3 with it having it to the apostrophe too early. So it has to be wasn't with the apostrophe T. What's another way to say it's? It was, it is. So we know it's plural, so it can't be it. And it's, I think there's the letter S in it, which is shortening it, so it has to be it is. What is another way to say you are? Your, you apostrophe R. Now, to give you a hint, this is shortening the word. The whole point of contractions is to shorten the words. So this isn't shortening words, this is just adding an apostrophe. So we know it's not this. There's no apostrophe. And that's the whole point of contractions. So it can't be this. So by process of elimination, it's the first one, your. But Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. And that basically means this says the U, this apostrophe makes it the R part for your. What is another to say you will? Now this is a tricky one. So again, let's go through it. I'm sure you guys are tired of me saying the same things, but this is how you learn. You'll, no apostrophe, can't be that. You'll, Y-O-U apostrophe L-L for you will, could be it. You apostrophe will. We're trying to shorten the word, so it can't be that. So it has to be the middle one, you'll. Y-O-U for you apostrophe L-L. What is another way to say I'll? Well, we already know I am in its contraction form is I'm, so it can't be that. I will, oh, that sounds about right. And I'm mad. How does I'm mad ever seem similar to I'll? So by, again, process of elimination, you know it can't be I'm mad. And the correct answer is I will. So I'll go to the food town later today. What is another way to say cannot? So they all have the apostrophe, so we can't knock it off right away, but it's all about which one is used in the correct form. And remember, we're trying to shorten the words. The big thing is to shorten it. The hint here is these two aren't shortened words. They're just kind of messy. This is saying can apostrophe T. This is standing for the can, and then this part is the not. So cannot. So this one is the correct answer. What is another way to say he's? He is, he was, he did. Remember, contractions have to be present, or should be present. And he was is past tense. He did is definitely past tense. So the correct answer has to be he is. What is another way to say were not? So it's weren't. Let's go through it. Weren't, weren't, and weren't. What about the apostrophes? This one doesn't have one, so it can't be this. Number 1, similar to ones we've seen before, the apostrophe's in the wrong spot. Because this says were, apostrophe. This is just mumbo jumbo. This is saying were not. So the correct answer is this one, the middle one. What is another way to say though? They will, they fell, they all. They all kind of sound correct at first, but the big thing here is use it in a sentence. So they'll go to the park today. So then take that they'll go to the park today and change it to they will go to the park today. That sounds correct. They fell the park today. That makes no sense, so can't be number 2. They all go to the park today. That sounds correct, but they all isn't correct. I wish I had a better explanation. It's just they'll matches with they will. Now let's see if that's on our alphabetical list, just to see if you could ever use this as a cheat. Yeah. So look, if you look back, they'll, they, C apostrophe LL is used in they will and they shall. More times than not, you're probably not going to use they shall, but in case you ever do, you can always look back at that. What is another way to say they are? Now, this is an important one to know because people my age still mess this up. So, just really pay attention here. There, an attempt at there, and they are. Now, remember we know that the whole point is to have an apostrophe and shorten the word. So, they, apostrophe RE for they are, makes sense. There's no apostrophe here. Doesn't sound like that's the answer. It can't be the answer. So we'll cross that off. And they, apostrophe R. That's basically the same thing, but just grammatically incorrect. And contractions, remember, are shortening it. So it cannot be the last one. So for 14, the answer is there. They, apostrophe R. Oh, and that is it. Well, you all did an excellent job on it, but I just want to walk you guys through this. And again, just always look back to this if you're ever writing something for me, or writing to anybody, or you have another contractions homework, you can always look back at this, and this will help because these have just about all of them that we could see, and if not more. Right. Thank you, class.